So I wanted to show you guys. You know when it's crazy and I don't know who needs to see this, but I needed a little Christmas cheer in my life. So I decided to wear my cotton-headed Ninny Muggins shirt. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining in again. So today I wanted to get back on the subject of race. I know we kind of got a little off topic last week, but I think it's so important to talk about these issues. And thank you so much for liking and subscribing and continuing to support this channel and getting the word out. You guys are amazing. I love you. Today, I wanted to really talk about how to talk to your family. You know, I always say that being anti-racist is a process. You don't just wake up one day and now you're anti-racist. We all have to unlearn things that we've learned. We all have to be aware of what we're saying. We all have to be aware of how we're saying things. And sure, I know the easy thing is just to say that everyone's sensitive and we need to get over it. You know, I always give the analogy of Disney. So we live in Florida. We're from Central Florida originally, which is where Disney is. And I love going to Disney. But if you look up and know anything about Disney, Disney actually has their cast members, that's what their employees are called, cast members. They have their cast members not point. So they don't point like this. So if you say, hey, where's the bathroom? The cast members don't point with their finger. They actually do this. They do that. And the reason they do that is because in some cultures, pointing with your finger is actually offensive. And so Disney says, hey, you know what? We don't want to offend anybody. Sure. Do we have to change it? No, we're Disney. You're on our property. We don't have to change it for you. But in order to make everyone feel comfortable, this is something we don't have to do. We can just change it to this. I like to bring that point up because I know sometimes we don't know how to talk to our families. We don't know how to talk to our friends. If they say something, I do believe that sometimes we can say racially offensive things, and in our heart, we are probably not racist. We just say racially offensive things. That's another look at covert racism and what covert racism is and what it looks like. Even though those things are racially offensive, shouldn't mean that we should continue to say them because we don't want to change our language. To some people, it's offensive. And so we want to be mindful of those things. But there was actually something that I posted on my personal Facebook page, and it was something from a friend of mine. I know this person, between a conversation with a relative of hers. Now, there's a specific reason why I didn't say who the relative was, and there's a specific reason why I cut out the name, a reason why I won't share the name. Out of respect for her, this is a relative extremely close to her, and I want to respect her. But it got me thinking, are we or do we know how to confront racism when we see it? You know, are we able to say things are racist or, hey, maybe you shouldn't say that? And are we comfortable with those things? And so I just want to give you guys just some things that you can do, that we can practice on, that we can look up to know, you know, how to confront those things. And I think something major here is understanding what covert racist is. I'm going to read you the message. I'm not going to put it on the screen because there are quite a few curse words in it, and I'm going to skip over those. But I am going to read you the message. This is not covert racism. This is blatant overt racism. And the reason I decided to share this was not to spread any kind of hate, but to show people that there are people out there that are like this. There are people out there who feel this way and think this way. And there's people like me and my family who, you know, if I'm being honest, a lot of times I feel like I have to defend. No one should have to defend it. No one should have to present to you what they've accomplished in their life to give a pass for them to live. Like, I shouldn't have to come to you and say, well, you know, my husband's a pastor, and you're like, oh, my bad, you can live then. You're fine. That shouldn't matter. But for some reason, I, like many other people, especially in this climate, people that look like me feel like they have to justify, not even justify, feel like that they have to make a case for themselves. understanding what covert racism is. And if someone says something to you or around you, are you willing to challenge that person? You know, someone asked me, if someone says something that you know is racially offensive, what do you say to that person? Like, how do you present it to them? And my advice is, if you know someone is saying something racially offensive, ask them what they meant by that. Just say that. Say, well, what do you mean by that when you say that? Because I believe it allows people to think about what they're saying. It allows them to sit back and say, well, what did I mean when I say that? For instance, if somebody calls me an Oreo, which happens quite a bit, not as much, within the recent years, but it's happened in my life. But usually when people call you an Oreo, they mean that you're black, but you talk white, or you act white, or you look white, or whatever, you fit the standard of what a white person would normally be, but you're in a black person's body. And so now I'll be like, someone's like, you're like an Oreo. I'm like, what did you mean by that? When you say Oreo, like, what are you implying? And allow them to think about it. I know it's so easy sometimes to just want to attack and jump on them, but a lot of times you have to cause people to just think about what they're saying. And I think that's really the first step, is if you have a family member that says something around you, or a friend that says something around you that is covertly racist, even overtly racist, ask them what they meant by that. What did you mean when you said that? Like, what are you implying? Why would you say those things? What covert racism is just socially acceptable racism. It's racism that we can, like Oreo, like we sit and we joke around and it's a fun, joke, or telling, when it's dark, telling a black person or a person that's darker, smile so we can see you, things like that. Those things can be seen as covertly racist, socially acceptable racism. It's a joke, it's funny, but is it funny to that person? And it's kind of like the scenario I gave of Disney. It may be fine for you, it may be fine for everyone else in America, but if in another culture I'm pointing at something and it is offensive to them, what's the big deal in me changing it? It doesn't mean that this person just sees things offensively and they just get offended by everything. It just means that to them, it hurts their feelings. And so why wouldn't we want to change that? Why wouldn't we want to do better, But I would love to read this to you. And the reason I want to read this to you is because I want you to understand that there are people like this in the world. And even though this person was the one who said it, we have to confront this stuff head on. If we're going to be anti-racist and we're going to stop it in our track and in our circle, I do believe that, people always say, well, you can't stop all racism. You can't stop all racism. But if someone is bold enough to stop it in their circle, that's a step forward. Yes, we need to change laws. Yes, we need to make changes. However, we also need to be able to be aware of what's going on in our circle. I'll give you an example. So my husband is a pastor, right? And so there's people that I know that have a foul mouth. They won't curse around him. They won't say it around him. You have to think, why is this person comfortable enough saying what they're saying around me? I need to make sure that I'm able to put my foot down and take a stand against this so that they're not comfortable enough saying this around me. But this is the message between my friend and her relative. And I want to read it to you because it's so important to understand. And she stood up. And it's so important to understand, and how important it is to understand that in order to be anti-racist, we do have to stand up to people like this. Because there are people out there that think this way. It says, I hope you're paying attention to the news. Blacks are beating up and killing white people for no reason. Women and children. I swear, if you ever take a knee for these demonic Satanists, I will disown you. Never kneel for anyone but God. Your generation is completely brainwashed. I'm totally sick to my stomach watching this BS. And so disappointed in you for falling for it. This is the Antichrist system, the New World Order. They use black people to start civil wars because they are the dumb, violent race. Truth is truth. Some are fine, but most are the roaches of society. They have had black privilege for at least 30 years, and they're still not satisfied. Proven fact, they have a much lower IQ. I'm watching Satan at work through these a-holes. I want to puke. I'm hoping Trump sends the military and gets rid of these people. Your future is screwed even if Trump wins. They will be 100 times worse. All are in danger. This is the most evil I've ever seen, and I have seen a lot. Get right with God. Now, while this message is actually quite comical, that someone thinks this way, it is scary too, because there are people that feel that way about me and my family, and they don't know us. And I shouldn't have to explain my merits to say that I'm valuable. But to some people, it does not matter. But the most craziest thing is that she tries to use the name of God to justify her feelings of racism. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Jesus was a brown man. And it's actually in this way quite comical that someone would try to use that and actually believe that people want to be Christians. They want to come to Christ. And who would want to come to Christ when there's people like that out there? Because I'll tell you what, I know the Lord. It's no secret. I'm a Christian. My husband's a pastor. I'm a pastor. And I know Jesus. And it would be very hard for me to look at people like that and say that I want to be a part of Christianity. That I want to be a part of knowing who he is, because it's us, guys. They will know you by your fruit. They will know us by our fruit. I know there's people that watch my page that aren't believers, but that is what the Bible says, that they will know us by our fruit. People will know us by what we say, what we do, how we act. And this is honestly disgraceful. And it's so disgraceful that I actually pray that God have mercy on people that think this way. I do. And you know what? Even though I feel the way I do, I have to understand and remember that God died for your sin too. No matter how disgusting and dirty it is, he died for that. When there's people in your family that are like that, I will tell you right now, I believe with all my heart that it's going to hurt now, because I can tell you it hurt that person. My friend that it happened to, it hurt her. The fact that her relative could say those things about people, it's hurtful. But because I truly believe that if you stand up for the right thing, I believe you'll be rewarded for it. I believe you'll be rewarded for it. If you stand up for the right thing, forget hate, forget those things. You know, it's so easy for some people, for some reason, to have hatred in their heart. But I believe that it's going to take a people like us, like our messed up generation, I guess, to stand up and say enough is enough and no more. And I have 2 kids. I have 2 little kids, and I love my little kids. And I want this world to be better for them, as it should be. And I know that we can make this world a better place. We can do our best to do our part to make this world a better place. So call it out. If someone is around you and they're saying these things, call out their racism. Call it out. Ask them what they meant by it. And if it's just overt like that, call them out, because that's how we stop it. We stop it in our circles first. I felt that was important to share with you guys, because some people just don't believe that there's actually people out there that think that way. And you know what? She was the one that said it. But how much of it goes unsaid? But I know together we can do this. And that's the whole reason why I even made this page, so we can become educated, so that we can learn and understand, and we can grow, and we can be better people. I love you guys. And again, I want to thank you for always liking and subscribing and just being a part of this channel. And I believe that we can do it. I believe that we can see in our lifetime a better world for not only us, but the generations after us. You guys are amazing. I love you. Thank you for liking and subscribing and just being a part of my life. You guys are the best. Love you guys. Bye.